We're so happy to welcome back Mr. Wes Hamilton.
Thank you. So good to see everybody here again. Got some new friends here. Joel, met him last week. And my support staff, and Reese, This month is all about removing the mask. So did everybody get that done before you came today? No, I see a lot of masks on here today. When we put a mask on, we're trying to be something that somebody else thinks we should be. Or we've got an idea that we think we have to be somebody else in order for somebody to accept us. So the masks come on and off, I believe, almost every day. And they come off with different events. We have different timelines in our life where the masks come on. Usually in childhood we try to fit in. In our work life we try to fit in. And then of course we get in a relationship. That's a scary thing. So we try to be what the other person wants. My plan today is to talk about what's behind the mask. What's the real you? And that's what I love about numerology. Numerology is a 10,000-year-old practice. And I've been using it for the last 30, 35 years. And the thing that I love about it is when I can show somebody who they really are, give them a clue about what's going on in their life. There's actually a formula in numerology that shows you what your mask looks like. It's called your personality. That's how things look to other people for you. And that's the hard part for people to accept, like, no, that's not me, I'm this over on that. The numerology program will calculate for you what's going on, what's in your heart, what does your heart really want. And the thing that's really important is timelines. And today I want to talk about timelines. We've got a very, very important event happening next year. And it's going to affect all of us. Yes, I know the election. However, we're entering a new decade. And every decade, we're learning something new. And today, I want to go back through the decade, what we are still in. We got 80 days left to finish whatever you're planning to do in this last decade. In 2010, because I study numerology and because Lori and I are open to new adventures, we were invited to go to North Dakota. I know. I said it was an adventure, okay? Yeah, it wasn't California, it wasn't Chicago, Fargo, North Dakota. I had to look on the map to see where it was. So we went up there to teach and coach and that sort of thing. So that was the beginning of our decade. How do we find our identity in a strange town that we are not known? So we went up there. And we had a few friends up there, I would say client friends that had been coming down here to our expos for the last 3-4 years. And they said, boy, what you guys do is amazing. How about if you come to Fargo? And it's like, where? So it's right off 94, if anybody wants to go there. It's actually a really neat town. We became very connected to the town. So for 5 years, Lori and I went to Fargo. Friday morning, we'd head up 94. Alexandria is halfway, and that's where the Caribou is, where you want to stop. You want to reevaluate where you're going. And so we would stop in Alexandria, have our breakfast and our coffee, and then head up there. And we would get there Friday afternoon sometime, and we became really well known to the Hilton Hotel family. We were there so much they would say, welcome home. So what we did is Friday afternoon we would meet some people, do some coaching, counseling. all day Saturday, all day Sunday, I would do meditation training. The program that I've taught for years called Awakening Your Light Body. And Lori would do coaching, business coaching. So it was a pretty amazing event because on the way back, we would be all excited about the people we met, the things we learned, and it just kept going for 5 years. And then it quit. And I looked at our numerology and I said, Lori, we're done going to Fargo. There's nothing going on for us up there. While we were there, we really developed a large spiritual community. And we've got Gary Beckman, who now has passed on and joined his wife in the clouds, got him convinced to go to Fargo, North Dakota and start an expo. And he was a little skeptical, but he did it. And it was one of the bigger expos. It was well attended. People from around, I guess, 2-3 state area would actually drive up there. I think that expo is still going on. So what I want you to know is when these decades happen, it's really important that you set your intention for what you'd like to have happen. So I want to take a few minutes and go through our last decade to see if you're caught up with what your plans were. If you're not, you got 80 days left. Now, there was a movie that says you can go around the world in 80 days, so there's plenty of time. No pressure. All right, well, as much as this font is bigger, I still need my glasses. That's what happens when the decades change. So in 2010 to 2020, it was all about the energy of the one. We had 2010, 2011, it was always the energy of the one. And so the one energy is about developing your confidence, your independence, your visionary skills, your ability to be creative, and that type of thing. So each year, there's a different energy that comes to offer an opportunity for you to do these things. So I want you to just think about, in 2010, that was about having the confidence to express yourself creatively. Now, Lori and I did it by going up and teaching and so forth. So think back. In 2010, what did you do? Or if you haven't done it, what would you like to do? Because creativity is one of the ways we connect to our inner spirit to start expressing our true self. And in 2010, if you had an opportunity to draw, write, paint, sing, teach, any of those kind of things, how many here believe they did something creatively back in 2010? Oh, wow. All right. Got a participant group here. Perfect. So you're on your way. In 2011, that was about having a vision and a plan for your future as a leader. So oftentimes, we choose to participate but not lead. And leaders are the ones who inspire the people that want to participate. So in your last decade, have you had an opportunity and did you step up in a leadership role? And a leadership role is about being confident, having something that you want to share, and getting the word out. So how about 2011? How many did a leadership role? Wow, we got a really good group in here. Wow. All right. Okay, in 2012, it was about having some determination, self-determination, to realize whatever you're doing needs to be adjusted. And in 2012, for us, we decided we needed to make our offering different, and that was about when we started the expos in Fargo, where it was really a big deal to have that expo there. So we decided to just not do the classes, but to create a whole expo with Gary Beckman, and that was a great adjustment. Sometimes you need to take a look at where you're going to see if you want to make some course corrections. During 2013, it was about having some independence, knowing that you're on a path, you've got a mission, you've got a plan, you've got a purpose, and then how do you find time to keep doing that? Most of us do it part-time, and spend time with your family. The family thing sometimes gets left behind when you get on your passion and purpose. So, as you look back last decade, did you have some balance between your family time and your work time and your purposeful time? How many had that? Okay, we're losing some here. That's a very important piece, to have a passion, have a purpose, and have balance. Because when we lose our balance, the other three get affected just a little bit. The personal life, the relationships in our life, the health sometimes gets neglected. And when you forget some of those things in your life, things don't go as well. And Lori and I have created what we call the Focus 4. And the 4 is, the first one is your career and your money. And oftentimes, that's the main one people focus on, because that's where we spend a good share of our day, and without the money, we don't have a home to go home to. So that usually takes up a good share of our thoughts, and the family, the relationships tend to suffer a little bit. The other part that you want to think about is your health, and then your spiritual world. So that was the balance that we came upon, and probably really started talking about that in our training program at that timeline where we need to make some adjustments and find some balance in our life. So in 2014, the energy was asking you to explore some of the deeper meanings of life for yourself and share that with other people. And by the deeper meaning, I would put meditation into that category, reading amazing books written by people who've had life experiences, traveling to sacred sites, learning the history of different cultures. It's exploring the why. Why are all these people here? Why are we doing what we do? So we have our everyday world to live with. However, about the middle of this last decade, we needed to go inside and look a little deeper. So this is one place where I'm sure you can come and do that anytime you want. How many here believe they started looking at a deeper meaning in their life? Oh, we got a bunch back again. All right. So in 2015, there was a confidence that you were looking at to manifest. How do you make things happen? How do you get that dream to come true? And during our last decade, we spent a lot of money getting our technology designed and to make it available to everyone. And that was our manifesting. We needed to create a program that other people could use. So we started getting involved with things like, how do you find your career? How do you find yourself? How do you create your future with the natural organic tools you have? So we started to develop programs for that. And it was because we knew in our experience with people is everyone seems to want a deeper meaning. Sometimes they read about it, sometimes they get a book, they go to a class. Echo Bodine teaches some amazing classes on that. But the deeper meaning for ourselves seems to be something that comes after we look at the deeper meaning of life, how we can help other people. So when I started learning about numerology many years ago, I was confused about how to do it with anybody else. I was shocked at what I found out about myself. So I spent several years learning about how to explore what I'm doing, what are my gifts, before I started sharing with others. And that's the deeper meaning. If you can't keep yourself together, if you're teaching a relationship class and you're not in a relationship, if you're teaching a leadership class and you're not a leader, those kind of things start to creep in as being authentic. And that's where we start looking at what's behind the masks. Years ago, another gal and I, who had been taking many classes together, she came up with this idea, let's teach a relationship class. We're both really good teachers. I said, okay, but neither one of us are in a relationship, and I'm not in a relationship with you. How are we going to do that? And she said, oh, it'll just be good. Well, we advertised it, nobody showed up. We weren't authentic. So when you remove your mask and start being real, that's when people come. And how do you find out who you are? You can ask your friends, you can look in the mirror, you can meditate. Astrology is an amazing way to do it. I saw an astrologer for many, many years before I found numerology. And numerology is my favorite tool. So I'm going to suggest you really start looking at who you really are, because when you can explain that and why you're doing what you're doing, that's when people will come alongside and follow you. How many know about Simon Sinek? Quite a few people. Simon Sinek, several years ago, wrote and did a talk on why. And it's brilliant. He did some research and found out how Apple got to be so popular, how Southwest Airlines got to be so popular, and they all talked about why they started their business. Apple wanted a computer that not only worked, it wanted to be intuitive and gorgeous. It's not just a regular little box you open up. Southwest Airlines, when they started, wanted to make flying available for the average person because it was more expensive. So when you start becoming authentic and you start believing in what you're doing, start talking about why. That's when you become authentic. That's when you take the mask off. That's to let people know who you are. So, 2017 was about exploring new opportunities. Now that you've explored being a leader, in 2017 you were being asked to look at leadership opportunities. And the way these numbers show up and why different things happen is in 2018, there was a 9, 8 and 1 is 9, and the 2 is 11. So that next year it was about listening to your intuition. But in 2017, when you started looking for different opportunities, oftentimes we look at what we can do, not who we're being as we do what we do. And that whole decade we've been living in is all about our own self-confidence. How many believe they're self-confident today? Got a pretty good group. Okay. So how many are able to explain why they're doing what they're doing? Okay, pretty good group. So when you start feeling the confidence of being authentic, take your mask off, show them who you really are, and then explain why you're doing what you're doing, what you're doing, and how you're doing it, that's when you start developing your practice of the deeper meaning of life and sharing it with others. So 2018 was about to follow your intuition. And there's lots of classes, lots of books on intuition. I know Echo teaches classes 2-3 times a year on that. And I'm guessing in this room, everybody's intuitive. Would you agree? How many are intuitive in here? How many trust it 100%? A couple of, yeah, yeah. My belief, and I'm intuitive according to my numerology and the way I live my life, but I haven't found it more than about 75% accurate. So it's that 30% that makes me nervous, that 25%. When I start trusting my intuition, it's a really good thing. When I follow it, it's an amazing thing. But to count on it, that's the tricky part. And every morning I get an email from Abraham Hicks that says, follow your intuition, everything's perfect, focus on what you want, that sort of thing. And I know it works, but I get these pop-up quizzes all day long. Is that really going to work? And that sets up my self-doubt, and then it just spirals into, I'm not sure. So in 2019, this whole year, we've been looking at how do you create more joy in your life? Joy is the secret that we've all decided we want. 2019 was about finding the joy. And I write a monthly forecast, or maybe some of you are signed up for that. It's on my website. I write a monthly forecast about how to use the energy of numerology to keep in the flow of what's going on with our timelines. And this has been an amazing year to find joy, to find the different ways you can find joy has been really fun to explore. Sometimes the biggest challenges bring us joy. So if you want to go back and look on my website, there's plenty of information on there from last year on finding joy. So how many of you found joy quite often this year doing what you're doing? Wow, okay. Pretty spiritual community. It's like I'm talking to the choir here. The thing that I want you to pay attention to is you've got 80 days to complete some of these things you maybe didn't get done. Because when we start our new decade, whatever we do that first year, according to numerology, continues to grow and grow and grow all throughout the decade. It's the energy of the numbers. 1 is new beginnings, 2 is building relationships, and so forth. So in January, I'm going to suggest you have an intention to be to where you want to be with some kind of a plan. And the energy that is happening for next January that starts our decade is to move into mastery. And mastery is about having some kind of a plan for our life and following the plan. We usually get excited about the plan when we start, we try it out, and then we go on to another plan. So next year, the energy is asking you to follow the plan. And meditation is going to be one of the keys because with the zeros, you got the 2020, 2020. The zeros represent the energy of God and all it is. And the 2s represent relationships. And as I learned a long time ago, you've got to get a relationship really built well with yourself before you can go out and start creating relationship classes or teaching relationship things. So in 2020, set your intention to become a master of your own life. And that takes some practice because we get sidetracked. We're not sure what we're a master of. So you've got to do a little bit of research and explore what is your life path. And all these numbers I went through the last 10 years that we've been in this decade, very few people, I would say maybe 15, 20%, are connected up to the exact year with their personal timeline. So, Lori is in whatever energy of the year. So who is born on a decade change, like the 80 or 70 or 60? Yeah, all right, so maybe a 2%. When we're in line with the energy of the universe, it's a little easier ride because you don't have anything push-pulling. If you look at your own numerology chart and find out what your personal year is and how do you apply your personal journey with the journey of the universe, that takes a little mastery. It's time for you to pay a little more attention to yourself. Also, within numerology, it also tracks your month, your day, your year, what's going on. There's a lot of cycles. When I look at the back inside of a watch or a clock, and I see all the different gears moving in different directions, that reminds me of how numerology works. You got gears turning this way, small gears, big gears. That's kind of what numerology tells you. You've got all these different facets encouraging you, challenging you, inspiring you to get to where you want to go. And in order to get to where you want to go, it's important to realize you're probably going to go through an awakening. How many have been through an awakening? I guess just about everybody here. So Lori and I taught a class last week, 2 weeks ago, on how to find joy in an awakening. And that's kind of a tricky subject because most of the people in the class were in the middle of an awakening, and that's the part where it's a little bit challenging. So I created one that's a little easier to follow for today. There's a 11-step process if you want to go through the awakening process with a little more deeper intent. I created an awakening guideline here for you to keep in mind that it's very simple if you just use the energy of each one of your chakras. So, the first awakening shows where you're lost, you're confused, unfocused, restless. If you're starting to feel that in any direction you're going, whether to change your career or you're going to change relationships or that sort of thing, the first thing that happens is you've got to take a look at your root chakra and connecting it to the earth. And I've been fascinated by the Native American prophecies for years, and they said about every 1,000 years, humans are going to lose their roots to the earth. And we're at a spot now where we barely have any roots left to the earth. And when I look at numerology, I do these mini readings at the Orapalooza at Echoes. So many people on a spiritual path are not grounded to the earth anymore. So that's the first thing. If you're going to have an awakening to get to a better place, get grounded. Now, how do you do that? Well, in the summertime, you can walk outside in Minnesota barefoot. Lay on the ground, sit next to a tree. Do whatever you can to get yourself connected to the earth, because all of a sudden your confidence returns. You start getting a little more confident. You just really look at life as going to be better. Meditation's an amazing practice. Yoga is another good practice. I'm working with a fellow that is helping the military, mostly the men, understand social behavior and taking a lot of the anxiety out of their life. And he's come up with a program that he's created that helps them find the language and the words to what they need to be thinking and talking. And for the physical part, he's bringing in yoga and meditation and a little bit of numerology. But he doesn't call it numerology. He calls it Pythagorean's mathematical formulas. Because Pythagoras is known to be amazing, and he's the father of math. Why would you not believe him? So you got to find your way to get grounded, and that's the first piece. The second piece of your awakening is your sacral chakra. It's when you're feeling helpless, meaningless, hopeless. You got to do that second chakra. When you're grounded, you keep your first root chakra grounded, and then you start building up to the sacral chakra. That's when you start feeling a little better, a little calmer. It's one of your power centers. So a daily practice of connecting your root chakra, sacral chakra, really good to work together. The third part is of an awakening. You feel somewhat fearful, anxious, powerless, and angry. When those start to come up in your life, it means your third chakra is not connected. So do whatever you can to connect your third chakra with meditation, yoga, whatever kind of a practice you do, maybe just energy centers, maybe go to a healer and have them activate them. There's a fun little exercise if you're confident that your intuition and a pendulum work, because we use that. We just check each one each day, which one's open and which one's closed, and you can focus on that. Because when you're going through an awakening, these things open and close all the time. Only when you get them all working together, the awakening can happen. The fourth part of an awakening is overwhelm, alone, feeling like you don't know where you're going. That's when you got to open up your heart chakra. The heart chakra, from the work that I've been doing for years, connects heaven and earth. So if you keep your heart chakra open and active while you're grounded to the earth, while you've got your second and third chakra open and connected, all of a sudden you're going to start seeing some hope. Start to see some changes going on in your life. So daily practice is really good because then the awakenings don't get so challenging. The next piece is the sixth chakra, the clarity of your vision. You start seeing some hope, you start seeing a new direction, you start seeing some changes happening in your life. And when you open up your third eye and activate your throat, all of a sudden your thoughts and your feelings start coming together and make sense. You start to get some groundedness into what you're doing. With so many different practices of spiritual work, I've seen a lot of it about from the heart up, but not so much the heart down. So balancing that at the heart is going to be really important. And then, of course, the final chakra you want to open up is your crown chakra. And that helps you realize whatever you want to do, you're never alone. You've always got your guides, you've got your angels, you've got God, you've got your animals, you've got the environment. All of those things are here to help you and support you. So whenever you're going to go through awakening, be sure to look at these 7 different places where energy gets stuck. The chakras are here to help us and guide us. They're a powerful form of transformation. And what we need this for is for our next decade, we all got to show up as leaders. At least that's what the energy is encouraging you to do. And it's going to be important to take all these experiences you've been having this last 10 years about exploring different things, traveling, learning things, reading books, talking to people, meeting people. Now it's time to make them practical. Put them into a process, put them into something other people can use, and start finding some joy that you've learned about this year in how you can move forward. And it reminds me of several people I'm coaching right now, all different ages, from 30 to 60. are going through this transformation. They're leaving their full-time career jobs that pay them very well and looking for their purpose. And they're in the part right now where they're trying out different things, taking classes. I've got a CPA who's run a large construction company for the last 20-some years financially, and she is looking to be a space-clearing dowser who does feng shui. And we've been working through these 7 stages for the last several months, and she finally said to some of her friends, "Hey, I'm taking this fun class. What do you think of it? It's really fun." And then all of a sudden, she's got a half a dozen people that want her to come out and clear her house, do some feng shui, and change the energy because they're having trouble. So the universe will open up and support you if you're willing to step out there and do what you're planning to doing. I've got another lady that's been running a multi-million-dollar company for many years. It's still going strong, but she said there's something else. I don't know what it is, but I'm willing to look. So she and I just started working together. We don't have a clear picture yet, but at least she's in the transformation process. And all of a sudden, she had to realize a couple pieces were missing in the Focus 4 plan of our life. Career was taking up 95%. 5% was family. And very little, 0.5%, was on health and spirituality. So I've got her doing some meditation programs. And it's really funny because some of these meditations take her way out to the ethers where she can find some higher frequencies to work with. And she tried running the other day while listening to the meditation. It was nasty. Some big scars. But she's now paying attention to her health. So when you go through this transition to have an awakening, see if you can get clear on what you want. And a lot of it's got to do with how do you want to feel once you're there. If you can identify a half a dozen feelings of what you'd like to feel once you're doing whatever you do, whatever your magic is, that's what I believe is one of the first pieces you need, because feelings are magnetic energy. When somebody's in a good mood, can't you just see that you want to go stand by that person and talk to them? So identify at least 6 feelings you'd like to accomplish and be using once you're doing what you believe is your magic. Another piece that keeps us from doing that is to look at the values you live by. We all live by a set of values, and I call our values the guard at the gate. If something doesn't match our value, we won't do it. The challenge is values change just like timelines, just like seasons. If we try to bring our old values into our new life, especially this new decade, it's going to challenge you. It won't work. So those are the 2 key things that we like to start with, to identify some values, identify the feelings, put some words to them. Once you've got those identified and things start moving, now you've got a measurement tool. Now you know when you're there, because you're feeling the feelings and you're living the values. So measurement tools are really good because most of us just keep going and looking and don't realize we made it. So focus. Next decade will be about focus. So as you go through your transition to start this new decade, keep in mind that you need a plan. And you got to be grounded. And you don't have to do it alone. Next decade's about collaboration. It's about finding people with like mind, with different skills than yours, Because if you have people in your tribe that all have a really good idea, but nobody knows how to make it work, it'll just be a fun place to go gather and talk. You need somebody to put these things together. So, Lori's got a special toy that we're gonna, actually it's a piece of art. I'd like her to bring that up here. Lori and I have been taking the mask off of people, showing them what's behind their mask for many, many years. This is Lori Palm, my wife, amazing muse, modern day muse. This is our doll. And a client of ours, probably, what did we figure out, 17, 18 years ago? It's 15. Went through many of our training programs. And he made this doll and gave it to us. And I asked him, I said, Rick Peterson's his name, by the way, and I believe he's the creative director at Bachman's. That's why you buy everything at Bachman, because he makes it cute. I asked him, Rick, what is this about? And he said, well, you see that the doll's holding her hand up here, and what she wants to do is remove her mask. And that's what you do for people. Going through your program, you help them remove their mask. So, have you got it off there? The earrings hold the mask on.
And if you look at this face, it's authentic, it's kind, it's truthful. And there's a lot more symbology embedded in it. And he gave us this as a gift and said, this is who you are, the two of us together. So you can come look at it after.
And then this opens up, whether we can get it open or not. In order to get to where you want to be, you need to open your heart and find the key to your success. Mm-hmm. And on the back, he put a couple little seeds, acorn seeds. What we do is plant seeds for you to grow. And that's an amazing doll. Oh, the sticks. Those are the tools we use to get you to where you want to be.
And they fell off today. So I think we have to take them apart and use them. It's
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. 2020, yeah.
2020.
So thank you, Larry. So if that's something that you have an idea about you want to do, get together with a group. Lori and I actually teach a class. We're going to teach it in January this year. No, we're teaching it in December. We've always taught it in January. It's 4 Mondays, starting in November, to help you get clear on your intentions. So if you want to get part of that, we're doing it at the New Hope Golf Course. November 25th we start. So, any questions about what I've talked about today? How many feel they're ready to start the new decade? How many still have some things to clean up? 80 days. Good, we got some honest people in here. All right, well, thank you very much for letting me come today and share my wisdom and my knowledge and offer what I can for you. Thank you.